Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Admin Emergence. I do apologize. Probably it's very white board. I don't know if you actually see that. But Admin Emergence is a game for 3 to 6 players. It is a game of shifting alliances and secret knowledge, but also like very, very deterministic movement and deterministic actions. It has some wonderful reveal moments. It has some fabulous, like, I think that you think that you think that I think type of things going on. Stuff that I really, really enjoy. I like games where the mechanisms are solid and they're right there, but then there's the whole like kind of tension game beyond the game situation. And like I said, I really enjoy those types of games. So when this game kind of presented itself to me and the designers approached me and I read the rules, I knew it was something my game group and I are going to like, and sure enough, we did. So you know, let me show you how the game is played. Like I said, the mechanisms are fairly straightforward, and there isn't a lot of like, you know, layered upon layer, like brain burning type of things. The tension and the conflict between the players as far as trying to, you know, like come out on top and, you know, crawling over each other trying to get as many points as you possibly can is where the fun is. But there you go. I've kind of already said too much, but let's show you how to play the game, then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is Admin Emergence, and I have set up the tiles for a full 6-player game. You have these 6 bases located on these locations, and each of them have their starting meeple on there, ready to go out into the world of data mining and trying to collect their data crystals so they can convert those into knowledge and points and what have you. Now, I mentioned the meeples basically because I was sent along with the game, you know, they're the minis that will be included in the game, and I apologize because these are kind of dark, and so it might be kind of tough to see the detail that is involved with them, but they are very well made, highly detailed miniatures, and you know, I got all 6 of them, but they didn't come in the player colors, so unfortunately then they were like kind of confusing as to which player was which, so we just went ahead and used the meeples so we could tell which spot was which spot. Now, where your base is important for a few things, but the first thing it is important for is the fact that the 2 tiles that are attached to it, those become your affinities. So you can see I have the green player board, I have the green meeple here, and so green and pink are the affinity for this particular like leader, if you will. And you'll notice that I placed a green crystal and a pink crystal there to show that. Now, that's important for a couple of things. One, if I ever want to do upgrades, I'm going to have to use green crystals to upgrade these abilities, and pink crystals to upgrade these abilities. And also, if I can collect those types of crystals, they're going to be worth more points for me. So those are the ones I'm going to be wanting to gun for if I am, you know, this particular player. Now, when you start the game up, you can randomly place the bases, and so the affinity will change from game to game. At the beginning of the game, also, you will be given one of these cards, and these are randomly given to you. And these will be of the other players at the table. So if you're only playing with like 3 players, and these are the 3 you'd use, right? But we have all 6. So you're handed one of these at random, and then you're given one of these, and so now blue would be my target. Now, that doesn't mean I have to go out and kill them or anything like that. What that means is that I have to hope that I want to try to do as much as I possibly can to make sure that blue doesn't do well. Because if blue scores the least number of points when the end of the game comes, I'm going to get bonus points for doing that. Now, if you should happen to get yourself as the target, that's no big deal, because as the game progresses, you'll be able to pawn your card off on somebody when you spy on them, and spying is an action, which I will talk about here in just a little bit. Alright, so the big thing, to take your turn, what will happen is you have this player board here that is going to have the different actions that you can do. And let me just show that to you quickly, and you're going to see, and these three are actions that are fairly benign. I'll talk about all these actions and what they do, but these three actions over here, as you can see, like hack, spy, and terminate, they actually are, attacks, if you will. And you'll notice that these little tokens up here tell you how many knowledge tokens you'd have to spend. Knowledge tokens are a resource that you collect in the game. But in order to do these actions, one, you have to be able to pay the knowledge token price, and you have to be adjacent to another player to do those. Alright, so on your turn, you're going to take this little action token here, and in secret, you're going to be placing this on one of these locations like so. And you're going to pick one, and then everybody's going to reveal their board, and they're going to show the action that they're taking. So the tokens themselves have this side, which is Dark Ops, and they have this side, which is kind of like a friendly action, if you will. Now, Dark Ops is a very good ability. If you do a Dark Ops action, not only do you get to do the action that you choose, but you can do one extra action. It doesn't matter what it is, you can just do it. You just pick another action, you can go ahead and take that. However, here's the wrinkle. The wrinkle is that when you choose a Dark Ops action, if any of the other players choose Dark Ops, none of you get to take your action. You basically, everybody loses their turn. So it's one of those fun things where it's like you're kind of, everybody's like saying, well, I better not choose Dark Ops because I want to actually be able to take a turn. But if you are gutsy enough to choose it, and you don't think anybody else is gutsy enough to choose it, then you might be able to take two actions, which is huge because in this game it lasts 5 turns, if you will, and each turn consists of 5 actions. And if you can get extra actions, obviously, then that's actually going to help you out a great deal. All right, so let's talk about the different actions you can do. So let's just and one other thing I should mention: if you do take Dark Ops and you successfully do Dark Ops, then nobody can actually attack you. None of these actions will work. And they won't be able to affect you if you're because you're you're using subterfuge and you're hiding from the other players. But anyway, so actions. So starting at the very beginning, we have activate. And activate, as you can see, just says right there, it is a tile action. Now, for the most part, these tile actions or wherever your unit happens to be, you're just going to collect the crystals that are located on that spot. If you choose a spot that is empty because the crystals have already been taken, you would still be able to take one crystal of their corresponding color from the bank over here. Now, if you are on one of these locations, like you can see that they have one of the, here's a green one, a yellow one, pink one, blue one. If you're on one of those locations and you do the collection, then that would allow you to take as many knowledge tokens, which would be these white discs here. You'd be able to collect as many knowledge tokens as you have data shards of the matching color on those spots. I should also mention that on your turn you're going to be moving and then taking your action. You're always moving and then taking your action. And players can't inhabit the same spot. So you can, if you get to move, depending upon where you are, because at the very beginning, you pick a first player, and they have this token, and then they go, and then the first player token passes on to the person to their left, so the first player always changes. And player order is very important in this game, especially if you want to attack somebody. You want to be able to make sure that you can get to somebody, things like that. So the player order and as far as where you're going to be able to go and your options really matters a great deal. And I'll probably talk about that in my final thoughts as well. But once you move, you take your action. If you choose boost as your action, that just allows you to either move another tile, or it allows you to teleport to another spot that has the same color. For example, if I moved first to this location and then I chose boost, I could use that to teleport me over to this tile on this location. So boost is just a way to obviously get from one place to another, and it's really helpful if you can, if you need to get back to your base, so you can drop off the data shards you've collected, getting back to your base to dump those, like using a boost. So if I had a bunch of data shards and I was over here, and I could boost all the way to this pink spot over here. So, there's different things that you can do. Remember, even if you do a boost, though, and you're able to teleport, you can't be on the same spot as another player. Now, the last one there is replenish. And if you are on a location that has no, like, crystals, like say you're on this one, like I boosted there, but there are no crystals, I can take the replenish action and then I could place crystals back onto there. The maximum number is what they start with. And if you're ever wondering like how many each of these start with, just count how many spaces there are away from the base. So like here we have 1, 2, 3. So that would be a 3 spot. And these are 2s, and the ones right close to the bases are 1. And when you do a replenish action as well, it makes you impervious to any of the attack actions that people would do over here. So sometimes that could be used as defense as well. So the attack actions are as follows. So these are like attack or hostile actions. So remember, these cost those knowledge tokens that you get from activating those spots. Starting with hack, when you hack somebody, you can steal half of the data that that person's carrying with them rounded down. So like you would take, and you get to pick which ones you want. So if you can hack somebody, obviously you can steal a bunch of data from them, and you'd be able, to use that. If you can get back to your base, you can use that yourself. Spying is how you get these cards switched. So say I drew my own card here, so I have this, and there's no way that I can earn extra points this way, because I don't want to do that. I mean, I guess technically if I did really poorly, I could have, I played so ineptly, I helped myself out. But say it's towards the end of the game, and like one player is doing worse than the others, you can kind of just tell, right? So what you're going to do is, like, if you spy on somebody, and say like yellow was like the player that was doing poorly, and you spy on somebody and you found the person that has the yellow card, you can then take that card and replace it with your own that you had. Say like I had this pink, I had the pink card as my card, and then you'd give that back to the other player that you spied on. Now remember, you have to be next to somebody, so like let's say I spied on blue, we were next to each other like so. So I'd hand the blue player back this card. Now the big thing is that when I hand this back to the blue player, they cannot look at this card until they actually do a spy action themselves. So, it's a mystery to them exactly who their target is, and so that kind of forces their hand, and it makes them, use a spy action possibly to find that out. Now the last one that costs 3 knowledge tokens to do is terminate. And that is exactly what you think. If you happen to be next to somebody and you can terminate them, you will send them back to their home base, and you will get half of their data and half of their knowledge tokens they happen to have, once again, rounded down. And obviously I don't have to tell you how getting a lot of those resources and, shoving somebody back to their home base, would be, pretty powerful. And, if you can pull it off, once again, a pretty good thing to do. All right, so let's say I collected a bunch of data shards, and I came back to my base, and now I'm back there. Now, when you get back to your base, you can drop off your shards. You can drop off all the data shards you want, and the data shard success, you'll be able to convert those data shards into influence tokens, which are like these black tokens here, which are points in the game. So so that's why you're collecting those data shards, because you can convert them. If you're able to convert them, and I'll talk about how conversion happens here in just a moment, but if you're able to convert them, data tokens that are your affinity can be used, or these crystals, I should say, are worth 2 points, and the other ones are worth 1 point. You can also use data shards to upgrade your agent, and then you just pay the correct either 1, 2, or 3 to enact these special abilities. And when you do put those abilities, you just put these little boxes on there to show that you've upgraded those. So how do you turn your crystals into points? Crystals that you brought back to your base. Well, at the end of every 5 turns, you're going to go through a knowledge upload, and you just keep track of these as the game progresses. And you just have a cube, and you keep track of these as the game goes. Remember, the last one will be the end of the game. So what happens is, after you're going to go through what's called an uploading phase, and I apologize. This is this. Just don't pretend you don't see this human and AI here. That was from a previous version of the game. But what you have here is basically the white is good and like passing, and if you choose black, that means you don't want the upload to occur. And this box, starting with the leader, will be handed to each person, and they will place into their tokens, knowledge tokens that they've collected, to basically vote one way or the other as to whether or not the upload will occur. And you just hand that to the person. They put their tokens in. If you have knowledge tokens, you just place them in either one side or the other, like so. You're going to go ahead and do that. And then after each person is done, then what you're going to do is you're going to look inside the box. And inside the box, they have these two different chambers. And whichever side has the most tokens will choose whether or not the upload succeeds or fails. Now, basically, obviously what this happens is that if you have a lot of tokens, that you like a lot of shards that you want to upload and get a lot of points for, then you're going to want to jam as many positive knowledge tokens in there as you possibly can. But if somebody else has more, you kind of have to decide whether or not you want it to work or not, right? Because if it fails or it succeeds, either way, all the data shards you collected are gone. You toss them to the side, and it's done. So it's one of those things where it's like, do I add to my point total? If I add to my point total, am I going to actually be helping another player too much? So I mean, even though I'm getting a bunch of points, I might very well be like pushing victory out of reach by allowing somebody else to do it, which is a really, really fun moment. I really enjoy, like, after the 5 turns, handing this box around and having each person kind of decide what they want to do. And once again, it's a nice reveal moment when you open it up and you see whether or not that it succeeds. Regardless if it succeeds or fails, you do go ahead and look at the map and you determine how many remaining data shards are out there. And you total up each one. So, obviously the data shards on the board will be removed as the game is played. But you look at it, and if, there's, whatever type of color has the most shards out there. Say, there was, 9 green shards, and then everything else had less than that. Then whoever has affinity to that will, you distribute an equal number of influence tokens to each person. So if there was 9 and green, and then green was the most, you would look and see who has green affinity, and you would see yellow has green affinity, gray has green affinity, and green has green affinity. So with those 9, each person would get 3 influence tokens. They would get 3 of these victory point tokens that they'd be able to put in their total. And remember, that gets processed whether or not the vote goes through. So ultimately what's going to happen is that after the 5 turns are done, you're just going to total up whoever has the most points, and and then you're going to check to see who has the least number of points, and whoever has that as their target, they will get 7 bonus points. If you're playing a 5 or a 6 player game, whoever is the second lowest in points, whoever has that as their target, gets a bonus of 4 points. And after the bonuses are given out, you figure out who has the most points, and they win the game of Admin Emergence. So there you go. I mean, it is a game of tactical movement. It is a game of trying to guess what your players are doing. It's a game of both trying to collect your data and collect your resources, while also keeping an eye on how everybody else is doing, and not being afraid to run up and attack them or steal from them or hack them, or assassinate them if need be. And and it's one of those weird things where trying to stay away from people while also trying to get to the right spots and collecting, it's a very difficult seesaw to balance one way or the other. And and my friends and I, this is the type of game that we really enjoy. We like secret planning. We like kind of weird negotiation going on, you know, because a lot of times people like, you know, the game beyond the game, if you will. Like if you can convince other people that somebody's doing pretty well and maybe you need to focus on that person, and then you do that, you know, but, you know, maybe you have your own plan or whatever. You have like your own reasons for that. Maybe they're your target and you want everybody else to beat that person down so you can get a bunch of bonus points. But then if somebody spies on you and they take that card from you, then what did you do? You just, you know, like basically help somebody else out a great deal. So there's a lot of that going on in the game, and I really had a lot of fun with this one. But let me talk more about all of that in my final thoughts. All right, thank you very much for taking the time to learn how Admin Emergence is played. You can go ahead and check out the Kickstarter page, and you can read the rules if you want to delve into that with more detail. And I do think they're going to have pictures of like the different miniatures and what have you. You can go ahead and check those out as well. So if you've watched my videos before, or you know, you may have, and I've mentioned it in the gameplay portion, I enjoy like certain moments of games. I like aha moments of games where, like, you know, I sit there and I think about my turn, and then like all of a sudden I realize that I can do a certain, you know, thing, you know, like with a mechanism or whatever, and like I can cash something in, and I have that like moment of feeling really smart, right? And I like games with conflict where like somebody that wasn't really expecting me to do something, like sort of like hostile action, or like kind of go after them in some way, that like moment of anger that you elicit from them, or like, oh, you know, like when you steal something or take them out or something like that. I do enjoy that just as much as I kind of like it too when that happens to me. There's like that little like weird gut feeling of like, oh, why did you do that, you know? But then you kind of laugh and you move forward, and then you kind of swear revenge, if you will. So I like those types of things in games as well. But one of the things I really like are reveal moments. I like any game where like you're turning a card over and seeing what you have, you know, just like the whole process of the mystery, whatever, and then like you see what you have. And this game's got a couple of really like, actually has like 3 good like reveal moments and things that I like. I really enjoy you know, the whole process of what the action's going to be. Like you pick your action, you cover it up, and then you reveal your board, and you show what action you're taking. And like sometimes you can kind of see where people are, and you can kind of guess what spot they're going to head to or where they're going to try to get to. But then, of course, there's that weird, like, I know that you know that you know that I know thing going on. Well, they're going to expect me to go there, and if I go there, you know, they've got enough knowledge tokens to do an attack on me. I don't want to go that process, you know. So you kind of have that moment where you're, like, wanting to defend yourself, you know, but also, like, well, if they think I'm going to do that, then, you know, maybe if I do it, it'll be okay, kind of thing, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of that going on in the game. Plus, then the Dark Ops option, you know, with that, you know, like, well, I think anybody else will take that Dark Ops option. I mean, you only have like 25 actions that you can take in the game. If you can pull off a Dark Ops one, that's huge. It's absolutely huge if you can pull that off, especially if you can like combine that with an attack on somebody that thought that you were too far away for them to pull it off. Like you do an Dark Ops boost, so you actually can get close to somebody and then attack them. I've done that a couple times in games, and that's like just a fantastic moment where you can pull that off. So, you know, between that and then also like the whole voting thing as far as how many points you can get, and trying to determine like, you know, how, like, you know, what's the best thing to do and the best actions to take as far as those are concerned, also great. You know, the whole game is you know, really tension filled, like I said, and I like that feeling of tension, that feeling of like, can I get to this spot? Can I get this action taken? Can I pull this off? And then at the very end, when you kind of just total up the total number of points and you see how well other people did compared to you, and then that final bonus. And that final bonus might not seem like it's that important, but 7 points, this is a very low scoring game. And if you can pull out that final bonus, I've had more than one game, basically the winner is because they managed to get the right card at the right time. And you know, that's, and if I haven't done it personally, I haven't won it that way, but I did see the glee in the eyes of the people. I've had my victory snatched away from me at that moment, which, you know, doesn't really make me mad. It just makes me want to, you know, reset the game up and play it again. So, you know, Admin Emergence, or Emergence, I'm sorry, like, this is a very, very, very good game. I've enjoyed it greatly. I enjoy games with, like I said, secret knowledge, conflict, reveal moments, and this has all of those things going on. And you know, I like matching wits with the players at the table, and seeing who comes out on top. And, you know, all the better if it's me, but even if it isn't, I still really enjoy the ride. So there you go. If you have any questions about the game, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.